Hello friends, this is Fox Nival Studios. Today we are here with new chapter What if Naruto had a powerful dragon eye bloodline? Now let's begin the story. His claws scratched against the metal of Sasuke's headband, leaving a deep cut. As he felt the piercing blow to his chest, he saw Sasuke's eyes widen in shock as his blow landed while the blondes did not. Why? Was the question asked as they began to fall toward the water. Naruto could only smile as the Chidori pierced through his body. Because we are friends. They hit the water with an enormous splash, staining the pool red as Sasuke withdrew his arm, his hand like wings rolling back into his shoulders. Naruto began to sink into the waters, not even bothering to hold his breath. His body was beaten, and battered beyond even the Kyuubi's helping. His chakra network was all but destroyed by overuse of the Bijuu's chakra in the one-tailed state for so long. Hey, figures this is how I'd go, he thought to himself as he watched Sasuke swim to the surface for air. Should've known, I guess. Dead last in everything, even when I fight with everything I have. Oh well, at least I get to see the old man now. He closed his eyes as water began filling his lungs. This is it, no more. I've really had enough. Thinking back on his life, what did he really have to lose? Even though he knew why he was hated now, he couldn't bring himself to actually forgive the village. All he was to them was a vent for their hatred toward the Kyuubi he carried. Stupid people, he sighed as he sank deeper. Even I can tell the difference between scroll and the kunai sealed inside it. His body began to grow cold the deeper he sank, and he knew it was over. Nothing could hurt him now. His life of hardships at the hands of his village's population was over. I'll miss all my friends, he thought, thinking about Shikamaru, Choji, and even Kiba. 3 people he considered good friends, even though the latter was a bit of a pain. Suddenly, he was being hauled upward, his body sailing through the water. Light filled his vision as he broke the surface, someone's arm wrapping around his chest. Don't you dare die on me, you idiot. Sasuke's voice growled as he hauled him toward the shore. You don't get off that easy. If I'm gonna kill you in a fight, it's not gonna be from a freebie. Naruto rolled his eyes toward the boy. What? The hell? Are you doing, you bastard? He asked weakly. I thought you wanted those damned eyes of yours? He felt his feet touch the ground as Sasuke dragged him out of the water. Not like this. He growled. It's not worth it, he said, and hauled him onto the shore, collapsing onto the beach. Damn it. Sasuke lay sprawled out on the ground, not even caring about the stones digging into his back. What the hell's wrong with me? Naruto snorted. You're seriously asking me that? He said, his voice hoarse. I could make a list a mile long if I could lift my arms right now. Sasuke scowled at him, frowning as he saw that blood from his wound seeping onto the ground. That's not what I meant. Why isn't he healing? The Uchiha wondered. I've seen him come back from some pretty nasty wounds, but this one's not even trying to heal. Naruto sighed tiredly, lifting one hand to see the blood on his fingertips. A small smirk came to his lips. You might as well tell me what's on your mind, ya moody jackass. He sighed. I'll probably be taking whatever you say to the grave after this one. He scoffed at that. Like you died just from that, he grumbled. I've seen you get hit pretty bad sometimes, and come back from it just a little later, and you just took a Chidori to the lung not 15 minutes ago. Then it healed right in front of my eyes. What the hell's up with that? Naruto's smirk dropped and the blonde teen sighed. Guess I could tell you. Not like it matters anymore, he sighed, looking up at the dreary sky. You ever wonder how come all the villagers, even some of the seasoned jonin, keep their distance from me? Sasuke arched his brow at him. What? Did you pull some kind of prank on them? He asked, to which Naruto shook his head. No, it's more like the worst prank in history was played on me when I was born, he said, his hand moving to his stomach. You know the old yarn about how the 4th Hokage defeated the Kyuubi at the cost of his own life, right? Well, that's not so true. He couldn't kill it, because it was a being made of the purest chakra. So he sealed it away into a newborn baby. Which just so happened to be me. Sasuke widened his eyes ever so slightly as he put what had happened during their battle together. The healing, the cloak of chakra shaped like a fox, and the intense killing intent he had felt before the blonde had attacked him. All this time, Sasuke sighed, looking down at his teammate, and you never said a word. Why? Naruto shook his head. I was terrified, he said, when I first found out about it. I was told that I had been responsible for all the lives lost because of the Kyuubi's attack. Thinking back on Mizuki's words to him back then, It was like getting hit with Sasuke's Chidori 1,000 times over. Iruka had been like the father he had always wanted to him, and for a horrible moment he had thought he was the one that had taken his parents from him. If it wasn't for Iruka-sensei, I probably would have gone over the edge. Naruto went on, when we formed Team 7, I thought about telling both you and Sakura, since Kakashi-sensei already knew since he was a Jonin, but I was just too scared about what you guys would think of me if you found out I had something like that tucked away in my body. Sasuke nodded. I can understand that, he said, sighing, it's sorta like my clan and the Mangekyo Sharingan. All that power comes with a steep price. Naruto nodded silently, his breath coming in ragged intakes of air. Sasuke looked down at him. Hey, you hang in there, got it? You'll heal up soon, right? He asked, beginning to worry. Naruto smiled and shook his head. Not this time. You got me good, you bastard. Sasuke's breath caught in his throat as the blonde Jinchuriki started coughing, blood splattering the front of his ruined jacket. Hey, this isn't a joke, you idiot. Sasuke snapped, leaning over his friend. Don't you dare die on me. Not after all the shit we've been through. Naruto chuckled. We've been through some pretty nasty shit, huh? He laughed, coughing again. Do me a favor, huh? What? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked at him pleadingly. I know you don't want to go back to the leaf, but please do it. Sakura-chan needs you. You need her. Even if you don't want to admit it. He grinned as the black-haired teen scowled, and take my body back. So not like I've got any family to mourn me, but I'd at least like a proper burial. Naruto's eyes began to close, but Sasuke grasped him by the shoulder. Don't you dare. He snarled, grasping him by the arms, and hauling him up and over his back, his black eyes glimmering. I'll take you back to your precious village, damn it, but you gotta hold on. Naruto shook his head tiredly. Don't think I can. You'd better. Sasuke snapped, and made his way to the wall of the valley. Now, hang on tight, or I'll drop you. Naruto tightened his arms around his friend's neck as well as could be expected. What with the little strength he had left? You should just let me rest. Rest is for the weak, Sasuke told him, and you're not weak. You're way stronger than I could ever hope to be. Naruto didn't answer, having slipped into a blissful state of unconsciousness, his breathing coming in shorter breaths. Pakun and Kakashi sped through the trees as they became more and more desperate to find the two missing students. Are we making any progress, yet? He asked the pug. We're getting closer, Pakun said, but we need to hurry, there's a storm coming in, and the rain'll wash away the scent if we take too much longer. Then we really need to pick up the pace, Kakashi said, pushing more chakra into his legs to speed himself up. Those two could easily kill each other if things go badly. Pakun nodded, then sniffed. Hey, there's someone up ahead. Is it them? Kakashi asked. But the pug simply darted down from the trees and hit the ground. Kakashi followed him and found the area around them desecrated. What the hell happened here? All of the trees around the area had been sliced, and cut down by what looked like a powerful wind technique. Pakun was sniffing the ground. Hey, I know this scent. It's that Nara kid. And someone from the sand village. The dog sniffed again, making his way toward a pile of logs, and he stopped short as a moan from the pile caught his attention. Hey, Kakashi, someone's still alive. No sooner had he said that than someone tumbled out of the pile of logs, beaten and bloody. Kakashi was moving double quick as the person would have hit the ground had he not acted. A curtain of light red hair fell from beneath a black cap atop the girl's head. Her face was fair, yet pale from blood loss, her breathing ragged and uneven as blood trickled from her lips. Around her hips was a metal plate with a single musical note etched into the metal. A sound Hatai 8. She's from the auto. Kakashi breathed out, his conscience conflicting with his sense of duty to his students. He laid her down on the ground, and prepared to leave. It's better to leave her. Mother. Kakashi stopped in his tracks, Pakun at his heels. The dog summons looked up at him. Gonna help her? The Jonin sighed. Damn it. He turned around and reached into his pouch for his first aid scroll. I have to make this quick, he said, making the ram seal, shadow clone jutsu. X panting from exhaustion, Sasuke kept himself moving through the dense forest that led to Konoha, his neck pulsing painfully as the curse mark tried to take over again, making his movements all the slower. Keep talking, Naruto, Sasuke grunted, jostling the blonde awake again. Tell me who you were gonna take to the Rinne festival this year? Naruto blinked his clouded eyes, the blue having become dull. The Rinne festival. He shook his head. The vendors always chase me away. Not this time, Sasuke assured him, sweat beading his brow. We can all go together if you want. You, me, and Sakura. Hell, even Kakashi if we can get him away from that damned book. A small, weak smile played across his lips. That sounds really nice. He said tiredly, I get to go. With my family. Sasuke almost laughed at being considered family to the blonde when he suddenly felt his teammate become much heavier as he slumped over, unbalancing the Uchiha. Hey! Naruto. Sasuke tumbled to the ground, doing his best to keep Naruto from falling. He laid the blonde on the ground, his front covered in blood, and checked for a pulse. And found nothing. No, this can't happen. Sasuke rose to his feet, shouting, Hey! Is anyone out there? He roared, Shikamaru, Choji, Kaba, someone help. Sasuke. Kakashi's voice reached his ears as a small amount of hope came back and the Jonin landed neatly in front of him. What's going on? It's Naruto. Sasuke yelled, he's got no pulse. Kakashi acted immediately. Setting down the girl Sasuke only just noticed he was carrying on his back, and hurried over to the prone blonde. Upon seeing the wound in his chest, he looked at Sasuke, disappointment clear on his face. We'll talk about this later, Sasuke, and you'd better hope he lives, or else not even I could, or would save you from Tsunade. Just do something already. The Uchiha snapped. I don't care what happens to me anymore, just help him. Kakashi didn't need to be told twice and charged his hand with lighting chakra. Stand back. He placed his hand over the boy's heart, and sent a surge pulsing through him. Naruto's body jolting. A single heartbeat. And then nothing. Damn it, again. He sent another pulse through him. Come on, dead last, Sasuke growled, watching his friend jolt from the shock. Don't do this. Again. The blonde was shocked once more as Kakashi started to become desperate. Come on, Naruto, come back to us, he roared, shocking him again. Sasuke sank to his knees, warm tears leaking down from his eyes. Damn it. He's not gone. Kakashi snapped, seeing the blood tears leaking from the boy's eyes, which meant only one thing, come on, Naruto. He roared, and sent an even stronger shock through his body, head to toe. Kakashi, Pakun said, resting a paw on his knee, that's enough. Let the boy rest, now. The Jonin sat back, his hands smoking from his jutsu. This is my fault. He looked over at Sasuke, who was staring unbelieving at Naruto's body. I should have seen this coming sooner. Sasuke looked up at him with changed eyes filled with sorrow. How is this your fault? I'm the one that did this. I killed my best friend. X equals the Kyuubi watched as his cage began to dissolve, his eyes lowering to the prone body in front of him as a gate opened up at the end of the hallway. A petite figure made its way into his seal, a katana at their hip. The Kyuubi snarled at the figure, come no closer, Shinigami. He growled, this boy belongs to me. The Shinigami looked up at the beast without fear. I am afraid that I cannot do that. The Shinigami said in a feminine voice. His soul has only remained in this realm because of your will, but you cannot keep him here. Bringing back the dead is beyond you. The fox grinned maliciously, is that so, little death god? His grin turned into a sneer. Do you not know this boy, Shinigami? His father was from a clan long forgotten. They had a dojutsu comparable to that damnable Sharingan the Uchiha coveted so. The Shinigami cocked her head in a curious manner, and your point? A dojutsu is useless to a corpse. The dojutsu can only be awakened when the bearer has come into contact with death. The fox grinned, leaning his mighty head down toward the boy, his chakra beginning to boil around him in a red, gold haze. And here you are, a god of death, so near to a bearer of the Karyugan. What? The Shinigami finally seemed surprised. The Karyugan? Him? She asked, looking down at the boy. The Kyuubi nodded his head. Difficult as it is, this boy has the eye of the blood dragon, which will make him great. No longer will he be on the receiving end of the wrath of those that hate him. He will rise above them all, or crush them under his heel. The Shinigami scoffed as she regarded the boy. If you truly knew anything about Uzumaki Naruto, then you would know that he would never mistreat a power such as the Karyugan. She said, kneeling toward the boy, stroking his hair from his face. He is too kind and gentle for such a thing. She looked back up at the beast. He will be great, but not as you would have him, Kurama. Kurama growled at the use of his true name, but allowed as the Shinigami were to be respected, even by his kind. Step away, now. I need to revive him. The Shinigami stepped back, allowing the small mercy as the fox's chakra spread from his body, and wrapped around the 13-year-old boy. As the Shinigami retreated back to her realm, she felt the boy's heart begin to beat again. A smile came to her lips as she hoped that it would be a long time before she claimed the young Uzumaki's life. X to Yuya of the Sound 4 had seen better days as she began to stir. Her entire body was racked with pain as the slightest movement nearly caused her to scream. Even though the pain was great, she forced herself to sit up, and take in her surroundings. She was no longer under the pile of trees that the Suna Kunoichi had knocked down on top of her. She was in a clearing. Her wounds, though they still pained her, were bandaged and treated, making her wonder, just what the fucking hell's going on? Her answer came as the scream of a young man reached her ears. She looked around, and caught sight of the Uchiha she was sent after. Along with Hitaki Kakashi kneeling around the blonde, she remembered jumping over her as she prepared to fight that lazy-ass Nara. The blonde in question was writhing in pain, his body convulsing in horrible ways as a veil of red chakra cocooned around him. What's happening to him? Sasuke demanded. It's the Kyuubi, Kakashi said while watching the wound on his chest close, leaving a faint, yet noticeable scar right next to the other Sasuke had put in his chest. It's saving him. Sasuke sighed in relief. Good. That's good. As the relief of Naruto's renewed life flooded through him, so did the sheer exhaustion as he collapsed to the ground, falling unconscious. Kakashi sighed at his two students. You too. Daughter going to send me to an early grave. Yuya had been watching as the man turned to her. Ah, so you're awake, are you? He said, and she nodded. Good, because I can't carry all three of you at once, even with the aid of shadow clones. I had to be quick about fixing you up. Yuya looked at the man in surprise. Why in the world would an enemy shinobi save her life, especially considering she had aided in the death of his cage, and tried to kidnap a prominent clan heir? What the hell do you want from me? Yuya asked, snarling at him, instinctively reaching for her flute, which, of course, was no longer there, but destroyed when she had been hit with Temari's wind jutsu. Kakashi sighed, and sat beside his blonde student, no longer thrashing. I want Notine for the moment. But I think my Hokage will have a few questions for you since you work for her former teammate. Former? Ah, shit, you mean Tsunade, don't you? Yuya grumbled. What's to stop me from getting my ass outta here before you get a chance to take me to her? Well, first of all, Kakashi smirked beneath his mask, your left leg has multiple fractures, while your right leg is snapped in half. He pointed to the makeshift splint he had put in place, so you really won't be going anywhere for the time being. He said before gaining a far more serious expression. Second, I could easily put a kunai through your skull before you took 2 steps. Yuya gulped as a kunai flashed into his hand. Are these good enough reasons to stay put? She nodded wordlessly as he smiled at her and put the blade away. Pakun, he called out, and a small brown dog came bounding out of the trees. Go catch up to the medical teams, and lead them back here. Tell them I have 3 injured shinobi, and be sure to come prepared to treat extreme chakra exhaustion. The pug saluted with a raised paw. You got it, Kakashi. He bounded back into the trees, leaving the 3 humans alone again as Yuya stared after the little animal. Talking dogs. All right, then. She reached up to her head, thinking she had gotten hit harder than she thought. Tsunade Senju, Godem Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, had half a mind to retire the moment she heard the full story of what had transpired during the retrieval mission she had assigned to Shikamaru and Naruto only 2 days ago. So far she had 3 young genin in the ICU, and 1 badly injured ninkin, while the rest of the team only suffered minor injuries, Shikamaru coming out of it with only a self-inflicted wound, a broken finger. And then there was the issue of the person they had been sent out to retrieve. Sasuke Uchiha, who was currently standing before her, covered in bandages, and looking more shameful than she had ever seen the boy. From the short time that she had known him, she had seen his arrogance, and his foolish pride which all Uchiha seemed to have an abundance of. Now, the boy looked like a proverbial kicked puppy. Explain to me, she said in a low tone, why did you leave this village? Sasuke shook his head. I was jealous. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at him. That's your explanation, Uchiha? Jealousy? She stood up from her seat and walked slowly around her desk. Sasuke looked up at her and received a sharp crack across his face. "Do you think I'm stupid?" she snapped as the boy held his stinging cheek. "Jealousy is capable of many things, Sasuke. But I have Neji Hyuga, a prodigy such as yourself, in the hospital with a gaping hole just above his heart, and Choji Akimichi is suffering from extreme chakra poisoning from his clan's secret food pills." She placed her hand under his chin to make him look at her. "And do you know what happened to Naruto?" she asked bitingly. "Of course you do. You're the one that nearly killed him." Sasuke flinched before he was slapped again. He didn't mind, though, he had it coming, and much more. "Give me one good reason I shouldn't have you thrown in prison for desertion," Tsunade growled, daring him. Sasuke shook his head. "I can't. And you should have me imprisoned." Sasuke looked up at her. "I really was jealous of how much stronger than me Naruto was becoming." He looked down at his feet. "We'd competed against each other for the longest time, ever since academy, and I was always miles ahead of him. When we were put on the same team, I was still ahead of him, but he started catching up." "So you decided to kill him?" "No," Sasuke snapped. "I thought I could do it, but I couldn't. I'm not like Itachi." Tsunade regarded the boy for a moment, her arms crossed. "Tell me something. Do you know what could have happened to you if you had succeeded in going to Orochimaru?" Sasuke nodded his head. "He would have taken my body from me." "And you still went to him?" Tsunade growled. "You're a fool, Sasuke Uchiha. I've read reports about you during your academy days. You were hailed as one of the few geniuses born once ever generation in this village. Neji, cursed to the branch family of the Hyuga, is one of them, and you. I have no doubts that you could be a great shinobi someday. But within the last 48 hours, you have become this village's greatest shame. If it weren't for the fact that the civilians would throw a fit, and possibly riot, I'd have you clapped in irons for the rest of your days." She went around her desk to sit back down, and sighed. "As it stands, I can't run that risk, not when our village is still recovering from the combined attack of Suna and Atto. So, this is what your punishment shall be, Uchiha Sasuke." Sasuke squared his shoulders, prepared for anything the Godem might throw at him. "From this moment on, you are banned from all Chunin exams, and the only way for you to rise through the ranks is to earn it in the field. Should your Jonin speak well of you, you may possibly be promoted, but if not, you will remain a genin," she said, glaring as the boy nodded, unfazed. "Furthermore, you will undergo psychological evaluation by our best men in the T&I department, and if they deem you unfit for active duty, then that will be the end of your career as a shinobi. Is that understood?" "Yes, Hokage-sama," he bowed. "Good." She rose from her seat. "Now get out. I have to go in and see the progress of the people that nearly died bringing your sorry hide back." Sasuke hurried out of the woman's office, hoping to avoid anyone else as he made his way home, escorted by a squad of Anbu for good measure. As he passed through the village, he was greeted by smiles from the civilians, and a few welcome backs. It made him sick. Really, what had H done to warrant such kindness? He reached his home, and went immediately to the bathroom, staring into the mirror. His eyes, black as onyx, turned red as he activated his Sharingan, and a moment later, the Sharingan morphed as blood began leaking from his eyes, taking the appearance of 3 intersecting ellipses. His Mangekyo Sharingan. He had been surprised to learn that he had activated the advanced Dujutsu, but then again, his best friend had died right in front of him. If only for a few minutes. Now he was the same as his brother. It had cost him more, however. Itachi had slaughtered his entire family. Sasuke had watched his best friend die, and lost every last ounce of respect for himself. He knew that there were a few members of his clan that actually had the Mangekyo because of the war, but they had been the lucky ones. None of them had to actually kill their precious people. Precious people, he almost smiled at that. Naruto considered him to be one of his precious people because of their friendship, as well as Sakura and Kakashi, and many of their classmates. Did he deserve that? Absolutely not. If he was allowed to remain a shinobi after all of this, he knew that he would be treading on glass as thin as rice paper. One wrong step, and it would end him. So he would fight for it. No more arrogance, or hatred. That was what his brother wanted from him. And he would not get it. If he met him again, as he had when the man went after Naruto, then he would fight with everything he had to bring him in. But not before asking him. Why? X Naruto felt extremely comfortable for once. He hadn't known he could sleep so well, but his bed never felt so good before. he stretched and opened his eyes, to find himself in a hospital room. His body, to his surprise, was covered in bandages, as was his face when he looked toward the mirror in the corner of the room. "Well, I guess I survived, huh?" he said aloud, smirking. "Guess Sasuke got me to the village faster than I thought?" "Hey, shithead, keep it down, will ya?" a loud voice from beside him snapped, startling him. "Some of us are trying to fucking sleep." The blonde whipped around, making his head spin with dizziness, and found an irritated redhead glaring at him from her own hospital bed. Naruto blinked in confusion for a moment before it dawned on him. "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" Naruto roared, nearly deafening the girl. "What the hell are you doing here?" Tayuya growled and stuffed a pillow over her head. "I was sleeping until a blonde loudmouth decided to start squawking like a fucking cuckoo." "I mean, why aren't you in jail?" Naruto growled, crossing his arms. "Ain't you an enemy or something?" Tayuya sat up and winced as her legs pained her. "Definitely an, or something, shithead," she said. "That one-eyed prick decided I was worth saving for information, so he patched me up and brought me back here with you and your dumb-ass friend." "Hey, don't call me a shithead," Naruto roared. "I just call him like I see him, shithead." Tayuya smirked, enjoying the blonde's reactions. "And you really look like a shithead." "Naya, eat it ya red-haired skank. What'd you call me?" "What's the matter, can't take the truth?" Naruto grinned. "If I could walk, I'd come over there and wipe that fucking grin right off that ugly mug of yours, asshole," Tayuya snarled, to which Naruto sprang up onto his bed. "Oh, looky here, I can walk and move around real easy," Naruto said, hopping up and down, rubbing in the fact that he could use his legs before nimbly dodging a pillow she threw at him. "Haha, ya missed me. Arg, wait, till I get my hands on you, ya cunt munchin' little." The door suddenly slammed open in the middle of their argument, and Tsunade stood there with a very angry look upon her face. She looked at the pair, and growled. "I might have known it was you two causing all the trouble this early in the morning," she said, moving into the room, and whacked Naruto on the head with her clipboard. "Sit down, knucklehead, and stop antagonizing your roommate." "Ah," she started it, Naruto said accusingly, pointing at the grinning girl, who stuck her tongue out at him, earning herself a whack on the head as well. "Hey, you can stop baiting him," she told the girl. "It'll only cause more noise, and that is something I won't tolerate in my hospital." "Yes, ma'am," both said, holding their sore heads, before glaring at each other. "Now," she said, making the two snap to attention, "Naruto-kun, I need to know, what happened between you and Sasuke? I heard his side of the story, but I want to make sure it matches up." So Naruto told her about the fight. Or, he started to. As he spoke, his eyes began to turn from their usual blue hues, to a blood red in color. What happened next startled even the blonde as the room began to waver, and they were all suddenly back at the Valley of the End. "What in the—" Tsunade started. "It's a genjutsu," Tayuya said in wonder as she watched an illusionary Naruto and Sasuke face off, a powerful one. Sasuke had the blonde by the throat, his arm charged with lightning chakra, and Naruto himself was boiling with a strange red chakra she'd never seen before. As Sasuke made the attack, Naruto's arm shot up and moved the attack away from his heart, but the wound would have still been fatal, which horrified Tsunade and even Tayuya as they looked at the real blonde in the room. His eyes were wide as he watched the scene unfold again. "Are you doing this?" Tayuya asked, not knowing the blonde had such skill with illusions. Naruto looked at her with his red eyes. I don't know. I've never been any good with genjutsu before." Tsunade winced as Naruto's illusion self went down on all fours as the Nine Tails chakra cloak formed around him. "It has to be," Tsunade said. "You were the only ones there to witness this battle, so this must be a projection from your memories," she said, looking at the blonde, and her eye widened. "Naruto, what happened to your eyes?" "My eyes?" Naruto asked. Tayuya nodded. "Fuck yeah, they're red as blood, and glowing." "Do you feel any chakra flowing toward your eyes right now?" Tsunade asked. Naruto sat for a moment as he watched himself and Sasuke leap at each other, the Uchiha flying at him with those hand-like wings. When the battle was over, and his conversation with Sasuke started, Tsunade watched the pair in interest, finding that Sasuke had left a few things out, such as the fact that he was the one that had carried Naruto out of the valley, and that he now knew about the Kyuubi. Finally, as Naruto slumped over on Sasuke's shoulders, the scenes changed. And it was one that Tsunade never wanted to see. Tayuya shrieked in alarm as she found herself surrounded by water in front of a gigantic prison cell where two enormous red eyes gleamed menacingly. The nine-tailed fox then began speaking to the diminutive Shinigami about the power her presence had unleashed inside of Naruto. Naruto's hand raised up to his eyes, not believing what he was hearing from the beast, or the Shinigami. He had a dojutsu from his father. As the vision began to fade, Naruto's eyes returned to normal, and they found themselves back in the hospital room. Tsunade was looking at the blonde again, a somber look on her face. "Naruto-kun, I don't know what to say." "You knew them, right?" he asked. "My parents?" Her answer was a slow nod. "I did. And so did Jiraiya. But your father never showed signs of a dojutsu like this." Tayuya sat back, thinking, well, that giant fuzzball did say that it could only be activated by coming close to death. And from what we just saw, shithead here came real fucking close to death, literally. Tsunade nodded, looking at the girl. "Have you heard of this dojutsu before?" "Ah." Tayuya held up her hands. "Listen, I get that I'm a prisoner of war and all that. But come on, I'm not given our info for free here." Tsunade crossed her arms under her bust, glaring at the girl. "And I suppose you think we've been mistreating you?" "No." Tayuya said, "You guys have treated me way better than that fucker I used to work for. Hell, he would have put a knife in my head himself for just having a fractured leg. Let alone a fucking snapped leg." The blonde woman huffed. "Then what do you want?" "Sanctuary," the young woman said. "I want to be as far away from Orochimaru as fucking possible. And I want this seal on the back of my neck gone if your seal masters can do it." Tsunade smirked. "And I suppose you'd like to become a shinobi of this village, then?" Tayuya shrugged. "I've gotta make a living somehow, don't I?" she said, crossing her arms as well. "I don't do well with charity." Tsunade sighed and smirked for a moment. "You know what? I like you. All right, you have my word that you can stay on in Konoha as one of our kunoichi, and that we'll do our utmost to get rid of that mark on your neck. In exchange, you will provide us with information on Orochimaru, and anything else that you think we might need to know. Do we have a deal?" "Deal," Tayuya said, reaching out to shake her hand. "Good." Tsunade smiled. "Now about Naruto's dojutsu?" Tayuya shrugged again. "As far as I know, a Karyugan user hasn't been seen for decades," she said, looking at the blonde genin. "But what I don't get is why it showed up in this guy." "Why do you say that?" Tsunade asked. "It was distinct only to one clan, and they were from Kaminari," Tayuya said. "And ain't you guys on bad terms, or something?" Tsunade nodded, sighing. "Yes, we are. After the kidnapping incident with the Hyuga, all Kumo shinobi have a kill on sight mark," she said, looking at Naruto. "But I do know that Naruto's father came from a small village in Kumo before it was destroyed and made his way here with the refugees." "Can you tell me about him?" Naruto asked hopefully, only to deflate as Tsunade shook her head. "Why not, Granny?" Sighing, and ignoring the jibe at her age, she sat down beside him. "Because it isn't my place." "Not really. Jiraiya will have to tell you. He was closer to him than I was. I was closer to your mother," she said, smiling. "After all, she and I were distant relatives, by blood, no less." "Really?" Naruto brightened. "Then I really can call you Granny." "You do, and I'll mop the floor with you," she growled. "If anything, I'm your cousin, distant cousin." Naruto just grinned. Yeah, just keep telling yourself that, Granny." Scowling, she decided to change the subject. "Anyway, Tayuya, was it? What else can you tell us about this Karyugan?" Tayuya shrugged, slightly amazed that the blonde loudmouth was still alive at this point. "Only rumors. I heard from Kabuto once that he wanted to try and find a survivor because there was a chance that Karyugan users could control blood." "Blood?" Naruto and Tsunade grimaced. "That doesn't sound very pleasant." "I wouldn't say it was," Tayuya went on. "Other than that, their genjutsu were supposed to be so strong that they rivaled anyone with a Sharingan." Tsunade rubbed the bridge of her nose. This was going to cause problems, she just knew it. Kumo were a very warlike people, and they had a lust for Kekkei Genkei. Much like her own village, but worse. It was rumored that the Sandaime Raikage had actually set up a breeding program to cultivate multiple clans that had such abilities, and if word got out that Konoha had another dojutsu, and one that once belonged to the Land of Lightning, it would only be a matter of time before they came for him. Add to the fact that Naruto was an Uzumaki in name, and in blood, it was a disaster waiting to happen. The only plus side to this was that the village would treat Naruto slightly better in knowing that he had a rare Kekkei Genkai. So? Naruto asked. What was this clan called? Tayuya sighed. It was the Chinook clan, and they were rumored to pretty timid as far as being active shinobi went, but if you got into a fight with one of them, look out. You're also an Uzumaki, Tsunade put in. They were the greatest sealing masters the shinobi world had ever seen, and savage in battle, with tempers so quick it wasn't funny. I know about them, Tayuya put in. Orochimaru has a girl in one of his bases that's supposed to be an Uzumaki. She's got red hair, like me, and pretty fair skin, but other than that, she didn't seem all that fucking good at kunoichi. Red hair, huh? Naruto asked. Looking at the girl, does that mean you could be one, too? Ha. Tayuya looked at him like he was stupid. What the fuck are you talking about, shithead? Naruto shrugged, ignoring his, apparently, new nickname. Well, you said the Uzumaki have red hair, he said, pointing at his head. I've got blonde hair, but you've got red hair, just like you said they did, so. Tsunade nodded, smirking. He does have a point. I'll have to do some blood work on that to see if he's right, she said, smiling at the redhead, and if he's right, then I've got all the more reason to protect you from Orochimaru. When do you want to start? Tayuya asked, not eager to have more needles pushed into her arm, but she figured these people would be nicer about it than either Kabuto or Orochimaru. Tsunade checked the chart at the end of Tayuya's bed, and sighed. It's going to take a full week for us to heal up your legs, and it'll take another day or so for Jiraiya to examine the seal, and there's really no telling how long it'll take him to devise a better countermeasure for it. Sasuke will take the priority level higher than usual, but it'll still take a while, she said, looking at the girl. Really, any information you can give us on the mark will be more than helpful. Tayuya shrugged. I'm a level 3 master at sealing, but all I know about this thing on my neck is that it's a modified 5-layered servitude seal, she said. Each one is different than the other. Mine is low level compared to what Kimamero's was, and he had the same one that Uchiha did. Mine is more like an enslavement mark. If I disobeyed a direct order given by Orochimaru while he was keeping tabs on me, I'd be dead within minutes. What about the physical transformations I've heard about from the others? Tsunade asked, and what we witnessed in Naruto's genjutsu. It's the final layer of the seal that does that, and it's probably the most dangerous to mess with, Tayuya sighed. The last fucker that did had to be restrained, and put down because he went wild, and started killing anyone that got near him. He even nearly got Kimimaro, and he was the most powerful shinobi under Orochimaru's command, she said. I don't know much about that last seal, but I do know that it draws in a special chakra and enhances the body while pumping me full of some kind of drug. I've only ever used that last seal 3 times, and each time it's harder to control myself when I come down from the high. Tsunade, throughout Tayuya's description, had been jotting it all down for Jiraiya's benefit. She had a bad feeling that she knew where that strange chakra was coming from. As she rose to leave, she gave both children a smile, and hoped that they could get along. For a while, and left them, her mind swimming with everything that she had just found out. 1. Sasuke had told her a half-truth, and had made him seem worse than what was said, having told her that Kakashi was the one that found them in the valley. 2. Naruto had an incredibly rare dojutsu, apparently from Minato's side of the family that had lain dormant until now, and it was powerful. 3. The seal would be damned hard to remove, but not impossible given Tayuya's information. And 4. There were other Uzumaki out there, and Orochimaru had one of them. Part of her family. That would have to change. Meanwhile, outside of Naruto and Tayuya's hospital room sat Jiraiya, having overheard everything that had been said. He ran his hand over his face tiredly, and figured it was high time to tell Naruto just who he was. And hope that he could bear with it all. Eat shit. Ya piss-brained moron. Jiraiya nearly fell from his perch as another argument started up between the two, and smiled. Damned if that girl doesn't remind me of the kid's mother. He laughed, peeking inside to see Naruto taunting her as Tayuya threw whatever she could get her hands on at him. You're not trying, Red. Throw something already. Naruto taunted, and was promptly smacked in the face by a bedpan. Gah! That better have been clean. It wasn't. Tayuya laughed. Gross. So you haven't been to see him, yet? Ino asked as she and Sakura made their way through the hospital. I would have thought that was what you'd do first thing. Sakura bit her lip. I know, but you didn't see them when Kakashi-sensei brought them back, she said, sighing. both of them looked so horrible, and neither one of them was conscious. Yeah, but Sasuke-kun is. Sakura stopped her with a sad look. You don't get it. Ino Bunta, Sasuke and Naruto fought, she said, trying to drive her point home. I know we both say that no one could hope to beat him, but looking at those two when they came back, they were both half dead. Ino looked more than a little shocked, but, gods, Sakura, you can't be serious. I've seen them, and they're both strong, but they wouldn't go that far. They did, Sakura sighed, and it wasn't the first time. Back after the attack on the village, they fought on top of the hospital, and if it wasn't for Sensei, they would have killed each other right there and then. Ino sighed and looked ahead of them as they neared Naruto's room. Okay, I get it. How bad off was. A bedpan flew out the door as the blonde in question came tumbling out of the room. Ya missed again, Tayuya. He laughed as barreled down the hall, followed by a young woman in a wheelchair, brandishing an IV stand. Get your ass back here, ya dip shit, she roared, wheeling after him. Naruto, what the hell? Hey, Sakura-chan, Ino-chan, bye. Naruto blew past them like a whirlwind, totally fine for the most part. When I get my hands on you, the girl shouted, wheeling by just as fast. I'll shove this so far up your ass they'll have to hook the IV bag up through your fucking nose. You gotta catch me first. Naruto laughed. Come back here. Ino and Sakura looked after the pair as they rounded the corner, Tayuya going up on two wheels as she sped after him. What the hell was that about? Ino asked of her friend. I don't know, Sakura said, but whoever that girl was. I really don't want to get on her bad side. Ino nodded, and hefted the bouquet of flowers she held. Should we just leave these in his room? I guess, she said, I don't think he'll be back for a while, though. Ino nodded. Naruto makes the weirdest friends. Sakura giggled. What does that say about us? Well, Ino said, tapping her chin, weird can be hot, right? True, Sakura smiled, and went into Naruto's room, placing the flowers in the vase beside the window. Ino did the same, and headed down the hall, off to see Choji? Yeah, she smiled, I've been worried about him ever since they came back a few days ago. With that, she strode down the hall toward their friend's room, leaving Sakura behind. Sakura gave her a small wave as she went her way, and turned to leave. Sakura. The rosette froze in place as she turned to face him. Like Naruto, he was covered in bandages, his arms and legs completely concealed, his face slightly covered. Sasuke. Sasuke did not meet her gaze. It was apparent why. Their last encounter had been anything but pleasant. The memories of that night flashed through the girl's mind like lightning. You look horrible, she said, mentally kicking herself for such a comment. But to her surprise, Sasuke actually chuckled out a laugh. I feel horrible, he said, smirking. Are you here to see Naruto-kun? Sakura asked, pointing down the hall. If so, you just missed him. Sasuke looked over his shoulder for a moment, and sighed. I did come to see him, but would you take a walk with me? For a moment, Sakura considered refusing. The last time she had tried or said anything to the Uchiha, it hadn't ended well for her, or anyone for that matter. But the way he was looking was downright out of character. Normally, the Sasuke Uchiha she knew was stoic, and cold. This Sasuke was beaten was the only thing that she could think of to describe it. Sure, but are you okay to move around? Sasuke nodded. I have a detail of Enbu tailing me, so I'll have more than enough support if I need medical attention. He said, looking at her, and you'll be safe from me as well. Sakura shook her head. I wasn't worried about that. Sasuke sighed, and made room for her to pass. Are you sure about that? He asked her, after all the trouble I caused. I figured you'd be more worried about the Naruto more than me. Sakura shook her head. He seemed fine just now, but I don't know what happened between you two, but can you tell me that it's done with, now? Sasuke looked at her sadly. Yeah, it's all over. He beat me completely, and finally knocked some sense into me. So, about that walk. Sakura smiled, and looped her arm through his. I'd love to. X equals, come back and let me fucking hit you. Tayuya roared as she and Naruto practically flew through the streets of Konoha, leaving dust trails in their wake. Naruto laughed, keeping just ahead of her enough to keep her chasing him. Wow, you're tenacious. You know that, Tibeo. You want tenacious? I'll show ya tenacious. Tayuya yelled, throwing the IV stand at him. Get back here. Naruto ducked under the throne stand and grinned. Nyahaha, you missed again. This isn't kunai practice. Tayuya snapped, now stop running. Stop chasing me first. Naruto laughed. Tayuya was only too glad to oblige as chasing the blonde through and out of the hospital had tired her out, badly. The only problem was that she had forgotten about the piece of metal she'd thrown had landed in the street ahead of her, too late for her to stop in time. Oh shit. The rod tangled in the wheelchair, and sent the girl flying. Naruto saw this and bolted back as the girl threatened to hit the ground. Tayuya closed her eyes, ready for pain, but felt herself being caught by a pair of strong arms. She opened her eyes and found herself staring straight into the Naruto's blue orbs. You okay? The girl felt her stomach flutter. Yeah. Fine. Couldn't be better. Naruto nodded, and fixed her wheelchair, sitting her back into it properly. And then got smacked for it. Hey, what the hell was that for? Tayuya smirked at him, satisfied, for being an ass to an injured girl, schmuck. Hey, I saved you from falling, Naruto pointed out. You're the fucking reason I was falling in the first place, dumb ass. Tayuya retorted, taking another swing at him which Naruto dodged. Hey, hold still. I still wanna hit you. Not happening. Naruto snapped, crossing his arms in a negative gesture. I get smacked around enough by my teammates, and my jerk sensei. I'll be damned if I let a girl with broken legs do it to me. Tayuya had a very snappy comeback planned, but her stomach growled instead. She blushed as red as her hair as Naruto grinned at her. Hungry, huh? He asked, gaining a slow, embarrassed nod from her. Alright, how about I take you for some real food, then? That hospital food is worse than field rations, at least they taste good. Where you gonna take me? Tayuya asked, and won't the doctors get pissed about us being gone? Naruto shrugged, stepping behind her chair, and began pushing. You kidding? I've broken out of that place so many times it stopped being funny. He said, smirking, and there's a great ramen stand around the corner that makes the best ramen you'll ever have. Ramen? Tayuya gave him a questioning look. You know you're supposed to take girls to fancier places than a ramen stand for meals, right? Again, he shrugged. It's one of two places that let me eat there, and the barbecue place is clear across the village. He said, smirking, besides, the ramen is really good. Tayuya sighed, too hungry to put up a good argument when he was offering to pay for a meal. Hey there, brat. A boisterous voice called out. Naruto turned and grinned. Hey, pervy sage. Naruto called out in greeting, making Tayuya snort at his name. Damn it, brat. How many times have I told you not to call me that? Jiraiya roared at his apprentice. What will the ladies think of me then? As Tayuya turned around in her chair to look at the person who had arrived, Naruto just laughed. That you're nothing but a little pervert. The man known as Pervy Sage was a big man at an even 6 foot, and built strong, with long, wild spiky hair tied back into a tail. The word oil etched into his headband. He clutched at his heart as if wounded. Ah, now that hurts, Naruto. How many times have I told you this? He asked dramatically before striking an odd kabuki pose. I am no mere pervert, he said, grinning. I am a super pervert, haha. Naruto and Tayuya both deadpanned at him, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is my second sensei, legendary perverted toad sage, Jiraiya. He said, giving a mock applause. How lucky am I? This is Jiraiya? Tayuya thought. I'm starting to see a pattern with these three ninja. They're all batshit insane. Mommy, that old man is funny. Hush, dear, we just ignore people like that, remember? Yes, mommy. Naruto felt his eyebrow twitching at his sensei's antics. Really, could you get any more humiliating? Naruto asked, rubbing his forehead. Anyway, what are you doing here, pervy sage? I thought you were out of the village again? Jiraiya placed his hands on his hips. Well, I couldn't very well stay away when I heard about all this chaos you and that teammate of yours caused. Now could I? He asked, smirking, and I have to say, you two really put each other through the ringer, I hear. Got a new dojutsu, right? Naruto nodded. Yeah. Granny said you could. Tell me about my dad? He looked up at the man solemnly. Jiraiya returned the look, and sighed. Honestly, Naruto, I wanted to tell you the first time we met. But Sarutobi-sensei forbade me to do so until he thought you were ready to know. He said, ushering them down the streets to Ichiraku's ramen. If the village itself knew about it, you'd be seen as near royalty. But if people outside the village knew that your father sired you, Then there would be people coming after you more and more because they hated or feared him. Tayuya looked back over her shoulder at him. Not that I need to know, or anything, but was the guy really that powerful of a shinobi? Jiraiya nodded, and pointed up, fourth from the left, and you'll see him. Naruto whipped around, following his finger, toward the Hokage monument. Fourth from. His eyes landed on the man he had looked up to the most for the longest time, the fourth Hokage. You're joking. He looked back at the man. You've got to be joking. He was my dad. Jiraiya nodded. He was, and he was my finest student, as you well know, Jiraiya said, sighing. I understand if you don't believe me, but know that you are Minato Namikaze's son. Naruto turned a snarl on the man, his eyes turning blood red. Then tell me something, he growled, his voice suddenly booming. Why, in all of creation, did he seal that damned 9 tails inside of me? He growled again, drawing the attention of the passing crowds, all of whom knew the boy for what he held, but shrunk back in fear as they saw his blood-red eyes gleaming, and heard the sound of his thunderous voice. Jiraiya sighed, and placed his hand on the boy's head, dispelling the out-of-control genjutsu that was being cast. You really need to learn how to control those eyes of your kid, he said as Naruto's eyes returned to normal. Seriously, Naruto. Do you know just how loud your voice was becoming because of that genjutsu? Naruto looked at him in confusion, but I suck at genjutsu? Tayuya reached back and smacked him on the shoulder. Not anymore, shithead, she told him when he turned. Remember, those new eyes of yours cast a genjutsu that's almost as powerful as the Sharingan that your pansy-ass Uchiha pal has. She stuck a finger in her ear. I think the whole village might have heard you talking if the ringing in my ears is anything to go on. She's right, Jiraiya said, sighing. Not that I mind the village finding out who you are, honestly. These fools need a wake-up call. He said, and started down the street. Come on, we'll talk more over a few dozen bowls of ramen. Sound good? I'm all for it. Tayuya crossed her arms. After a few days of that tasteless gunk they call food, a bowl of ramen or two sounds like a fucking feast. Jiraiya chuckled as he led the way, the 2 younger shinobi trailing behind him slowly, since Naruto was still pushing Tayuya's wheelchair. Tayuya looked up at him for a moment and saw his eyes downcast. Hey. You gonna be okay, shithead? Naruto shrugged. Not sure. I guess it's just too much for me to take in all at once. He sighed, looking up at the monument. Lord Fourth had always been my idol as a shinobi. I mean, whenever I heard about what he did in the war, and how he gave his life to defeat the 9 tails, I always thought that if I wanted anyone to be my father, it'd be him. He was my hero. And now I find out that he's your dad. Tayuya sighed. Yeah, guess I could understand that all right. I mean, I never knew my parents, so I always thought about what they'd be like when I was little. Did they want me? Naruto supplied. Did they love me? Tayuya short back, or would they even care about what happened to me? Naruto nodded, sighing a little as he did. I've wondered that every day of my life since I found out I even had parents. He said as they came up on the ramen stand, but I still don't understand why he would do something like this to his own son. Jiraiya heard him and sighed, gesturing for them to go inside. Naruto helped Tayuya out of her chair and onto a stool. Old man Ichiraku. Naruto called out, smiling as the man came out of the back. 5 bowls of pork miso ramen with all the fixings, please. Shark fin for me. Jiraiya smiled. 2 supersized bowls. The old man smiled and got to work. Comin' right up, boys, and what will the little lady be having? Tayuya looked at the pair. You're really gonna eat that much? Naruto nodded. You kiddin'? This is just the start. Order anything you want. Jiraiya smiled at her. It's all on me, and I doubt even Naruto could eat enough to break my bank. That a challenge, pervy sage? Naruto grinned. I still hold the record of 30 bowls in one sitting. Jiraiya grinned at him. I was wondering who broke my old record. He laughed. I should have known. Your mother had a love of ramen. Just like you did, he said, startling the ramen chef. It's all right, it's high time he knows. He turned his attention back to the boy while Tayuya made her order. Your parents came here a lot after they married. Really? Naruto asked. Sure did, Jiraiya chuckled. Especially after she became pregnant with you. He reached inside his coat, and pulled out a picture, showing it to the blonde. That's them there, and me, too. Even after Minato became a Jonin, we were all as close as family. Naruto took the photo, and had to bite his lip. He'd never seen anything like a family picture, but the sight of the red-haired woman, obviously pregnant, Sitting in between the white-haired sage and the blond man, all of whom were smiling hugely, made a lump grow in his throat. "How come you never showed up when I didn't know?" Jiraiya said, sighing. "Sarutobi-sensei, bless the man, thought it best that I didn't know about you until everything had calmed down after the Nine Tails attacked, and when I found out, you can bet I rushed back here double quick. It was just 13 years too late to be anything but a mentor to you," he said, looking down at the boy. "Don't blame the old man for this, because I'm sure he had his reasons. I'm here now, and that's what's really important." Their orders arrived, and Naruto began eating slower than he usually did, while Tayuya slurped away at hers. "So, how close were you to my parents? And my mom, what was her name?" Jiraiya sighed and set his chopsticks down. "That's a loaded question. Well, your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, the last full-blooded Uzumaki I ever knew, and Naruto. I have to tell you that you look almost identical to your dad. But everything else is your mother." He laughed at the boy's expression as he blushed. "As for how close we were." The man grew quiet, and looked down at his meal, then at his apprentice. "It was practically me that named you. They made me your godfather." Naruto looked up at him, his eyes widening. "You mean we're family, Naruto?" Jiraiya confirmed. "Even while training you to use Rasengan, I thought of you as my own, just like Minato. Had I known you were alive all this time, nothing would have stopped me from taking you away from all of this pain. But I didn't, and nothing I can do will ever make up for it." "You can stick around," Naruto said, his eyes brimming. "I mean, there's other Uzumaki around. Sure. But who's gonna tell me more about my mom and dad?" As the pair spoke, Tayuya could only listen, and feel like she shouldn't even be there. Really, it was none of her business if the blonde moron had more family, or if his old man was a famous war hero. She just wanted to know what happiness felt like. The leaves are starting to change color, Sakura noted as she and Sasuke strolled around the park. "Winter's not too far off, is it?" Sasuke shook his head. "No, it's not. Hey, what do you think about taking Naruto around the Rinne festival when it rolls around?" he asked, surprising her with his question. He scratched the back of his head. "I kinda said you and I would go with him, and maybe drag Kakashi with us, just so he'd have someone to go with. It's fine if you don't." "That sounds nice." Sakura smiled at him, nodding. "I think I'd like that. After all, you two have been through so much together," she said, recalling a few of their missions. "Remember our first time catching Tora?" Sasuke shivered. "Actually, I try not to." Sakura giggled. "Well, I remember it perfectly," she said proudly, strolling over to a bench. "You two were so gung-ho about catching that silly cat that you got in each other's way so much that Kakashi had to step in and catch him instead. Then he threw the cat on both of you." She laughed as Sasuke took a seat beside her, scowling at the memory. "I had scratches all over me," he grumbled. "Stupid Kakashi." Sakura shook her head, smiling still. "You guys were always so far ahead of me in strength. I always felt like I was holding you back until we went to wave. And I got the tree walking exercise down so fast." She leaned back as a breeze kicked up, enjoying it for the moment. Sasuke sighed and leaned back as well. "You're stronger than you give yourself credit for." "Not strong enough to make you stay," she said, remembering the night of his departure. "I was such a weakling, I still am, compared to you and Naruto." "You're good for other things," Sasuke said. "Like what?" Sakura asked with a slant-eyed glance. Go on." Sasuke gulped and said, "Well, you're really good at explaining things, even to me and Naruto, and you know how we are." Sakura eyed him for a moment before letting it go. "I guess you're right about that. If I weren't around, you two would be helpless." Sasuke smirked at her. "I wouldn't go that far." The girl giggled. "You know, this is the first time we've talked like this," she said, smiling at him. "I always thought that you found me annoying, but here we are." Sasuke shrugged. "Things change," he said simply, "and I wanted to apologize. For hitting you that night," he said, blushing as the girl blinked at him in surprise. "You were just trying to protect me, and I had no right to do that to you. I'm so sorry, Sakura. Chan." He almost swallowed his tongue as the affectionate came out, sounding like he was gagging. Sakura blushed lightly for a moment, then broke out laughing, making Sasuke growl. "Sasuke-kun, you don't have to force yourself to be nice, you know." She laughed. "Just be yourself, that's always worked before." Sasuke shook his head, and looked at her sadly. "Being myself nearly got 3 people killed, Sakura. And one of them was my best friend. and closest person I had to a brother left in this world other than Itachi. I don't want to be that anymore." "Who said you have to be?" Sakura asked, reaching out to take his hand in hers. "Sasuke-kun, you need to know now, that you don't have to take everything on yourself. You want to take down your brother for what he did your family, I get that. But you don't have to do it alone. Naruto and I will be there for you. Whether or not it's chasing after your brother." Sakura smiled as he gripped her hand in return. "Ask us for anything, and we'll do our best to help you do it. But all of us," she said, rising, and pulling him with her, "from this point on, need to get stronger. That's why I'm going to ask Tsunade-sama to take me on as her apprentice." "You are?" Sasuke asked, surprised, "but you hate training?" Sakura shook her head. "Doesn't matter. I'm tired of being useless to you and Naruto. So I'm going to do my best for both of you, as your friend and teammate, and for myself. I'm tired of being left behind, too." Sasuke was more than a little stunned, but smiled nonetheless. "Of all the people to actually say they're weak, it's both of my teammates. You're both stronger than I am. You've got wills made of steel, where mine is shattered as easily as glass. Then you just have to get stronger, too, right?" Sakura chirped, giving him a tug. "Come on. Let's go see if we can find Naruto?" Sasuke nodded. It was high time he and Naruto settled their differences, even if it meant getting punched again. The chapter is end here now. We will meet with another chapter, so don't forget to subscribe our channel for more content like this.